The smell of barbecue ribs and sweet potato pie filled Riverside Park as Marie Thompson arranged another tray of cornbread on the picnic table. Around her, 3 generations of the Thompson family laughed and played, their annual summer potluck in full swing. Children chased each other near the swings, while the men argued over whose marinade recipe was superior. Marie wiped her hands on her apron, surveying the scene with satisfaction. 72 years old, she'd been organizing this potluck for 15 years, ever since her husband Marcus passed. It kept the family together. "Grandma, the mac and cheese is almost gone," her granddaughter Shayla called out. "There's more in the cooler, baby," Marie replied. That's when the white BMW pulled up. A blonde woman in designer sunglasses and a tennis outfit stepped out, her face already twisted in disgust. She marched toward the gathering like she owned the entire park, phone in hand. "Excuse me," she announced loudly. "Excuse me, you can't be here." Marie turned, confused. "I'm sorry?" "This is a public park," the woman said, her voice dripping with condescension. "You can't just take over the entire area with your gathering. Where are your permits?" Marie's son Jerome stepped forward. "Ma'am, we reserved these tables weeks ago through the park system." "Don't ma'am me," the woman snapped. "I come here every Saturday and I've never seen this much chaos. The music is too loud, you're taking up too many tables, and frankly, this is a family park." "We are a family," Marie said quietly. The woman looked Marie up and down, her lip curling. "I want to see documentation, permits, reservations, everything, right now." Jerome pulled out his phone, showing the confirmation email. The woman barely glanced at it. "That could be fake," she said dismissively. "I'm calling the police. You people are trespassing." "You people?" Marie's daughter Lisa stepped forward. "You want to repeat that?" The woman didn't back down. She dialed, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Yes, hello? I'm at Riverside Park, and there's a large gathering of individuals who are being extremely disruptive. They claim to have permits, but I don't believe them. They're playing loud music, and honestly, I feel threatened." "Threatened?" Jerome's voice rose. "Lady, we're having a family barbecue." "You're intimidating me," the woman said, stepping back dramatically. "Everyone stay back. I have you all on video." She held up her phone, panning across the shocked faces. The music had stopped. The children had gone quiet. Everyone stood frozen. Marie felt tears prick her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not in front of her grandchildren. Not in front of this woman who looked at them and saw nothing but a threat. "We're not doing anything wrong," Marie said, her voice breaking slightly. "This is just a family gathering." "Oh, I'm sure you do," the woman said with false sweetness. "I'm sure this neighborhood has been declining for years." That's when the second car pulled up. A black Mercedes S-Class, gleaming in the afternoon sun. The engine purred to silence. The driver's door opened and a woman stepped out. She was in her 60s, elegant in a way that commanded immediate attention. Silver hair pulled back in a sleek bun, white pantsuit that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. Diamond earrings caught the light. But it was her eyes, dark, calculating, currently fixed on the blonde woman with an expression that could freeze fire. She walked toward them with measured steps, heels clicking. 2 men in dark suits emerged from the back seat, following at a respectful distance. "Is there a problem here?" the woman asked, her voice smooth but carrying steel. The blonde woman turned, ready to complain. "Yes, actually, these people—" "I wasn't talking to you." The elegant woman cut her off. She focused entirely on Marie. "Mrs. Thompson, are you all right?" Marie's eyes widened. Do I know you?" The elegant woman's expression softened slightly. "We met a long time ago. You probably don't remember, but I remember you very well." The blonde woman sputtered. "Excuse me, but I was here first." The elegant woman finally turned to face her, and the temperature dropped. "These people are under my protection. Now I suggest you get in your car and leave before this becomes unpleasant." "I don't know who you think you are, but I've already called the police." "Good. the woman interrupted. "I'm sure Chief Patterson will be very interested. We have lunch every month. Should I call him myself?" The blonde woman's confidence wavered. That's not..." One of the suited men stepped forward, holding up a phone. "We have the entire confrontation recorded, Mrs. Castellano, including the false report." Mrs. Castellano. The name hung in the air like a thunderclap. Jerome sucked in a breath. Everyone knew that name. Vittoria Castellano. The woman who owned half the city's real estate. The woman whose connections made politicians nervous. The woman whose charity foundation was legendary, but whose displeasure was something nobody wanted to experience. The blonde woman had gone pale. You thought you could intimidate a family because of the color of their skin," Victoria said, her voice deadly quiet. "You thought wrong." Police sirens wailed in the distance. Victoria didn't blink. "What's your name?" "I don't have to..." "Karen Whitmore," one of the suited men supplied. "Married to David Whitmore, Senior VP at Castellano Properties." The blood drained from Karen's face. Victoria smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "How unfortunate. I'll be having a conversation with David Monday morning." The police cruiser pulled into the parking lot, and 2 officers stepped out. The younger one reached for his radio, but his partner, Officer Martinez, stopped him the moment he saw Vittoria Castellano standing there. "Mrs. Castellano," Martinez said, his tone immediately respectful. "We received a call about a disturbance." Victoria gestured toward Karen. "This woman filed a false report claiming the Thompson family was trespassing and threatening her. They have proper permits. I have video evidence of her harassment." Martinez turned to Karen, his expression hardening. "Ma'am, did you file a false police report?" Karen's mouth opened and closed. They were being loud, and I didn't think..." "You didn't think," Victoria repeated coldly. "Or you thought exactly what you wanted to think." Officer Martinez looked at Jerome. "Sir, may I see your reservation confirmation?" Jerome showed him the email. Martinez examined it, then looked at the peaceful family gathering. The children now huddled close to their parents, the food growing cold on the tables. "Everything appears in order here," Martinez said. He turned to Karen. "Ma'am, filing a false report is a serious offense. I'm going to need your information." Karen's hands trembled as she fumbled for her ID. "This is a misunderstanding. I was just concerned about park regulations." "You were concerned about black people existing in your space," Lisa said sharply. "Let's call it what it is." Victoria raised a hand, silencing everyone. She stepped closer to Marie, her expression shifting to something softer, almost vulnerable. "Mrs. Thompson," she said quietly, "do you truly not remember me?" Marie studied the elegant woman's face, searching for recognition. "I'm sorry, Chicago," Victoria said. "St. Mary's Hospital, 40 years ago." Marie's breath caught. The memory came flooding back, vivid and sharp despite the decades. She'd been 32 years old, working the night shift as a nurse's aide at St. Mary's. It was during the worst winter Chicago had seen in years, and the hospital was understaffed and overwhelmed. Marie had been assigned to the intensive care unit, where a young woman in her 20s had been brought in after a terrible accident. The woman's name was Vittoria Moretti then. She'd been caught in crossfire, an innocent bystander who'd taken a bullet meant for someone else. The surgeons had saved her life, but the recovery was brutal. And she'd been alone, completely alone. Marie remembered sitting with her during those long nights when the pain was unbearable, when Victoria would cry from fear and trauma. Marie would hold her hand, pray with her, bring her extra blankets and warm tea that wasn't in her job description. "You have such beautiful hands," Victoria had whispered one night, delirious with fever. "Kind hands." Marie had stayed past her shift that night, and the next and the next. She'd advocated for better pain management when the doctors weren't listening. She'd called Victoria's estranged mother, convincing the woman to visit. She'd treated this scared young woman not as patient number 7 in bed 3, but as a human being who needed compassion. "You saved my life," Victoria had told her on the day of discharge. "Not the doctors, you." Marie had waved it off. "I just did my job, sweetheart." "No," Victoria had insisted, gripping Marie's hands. "You gave me dignity when I had nothing. You saw me as a person. I will never forget that." They'd lost touch after Victoria moved away. Marie had thought about her occasionally over the years, hoping that beautiful, broken young woman had found peace. Now, standing in Riverside Park, Marie's eyes filled with tears. Victoria? Little Victoria Moretti? "Not so little anymore," Victoria said, her own eyes glistening. "And not Moretti. I married into the Castellano family. You probably saw the name in the papers." Marie had indeed seen it. The Castellanos were legendary, a powerful family with roots in the old country, known for their business empire and their unshakable loyalty to those they considered family. "I've looked for you for years," Victoria continued. "I wanted to thank you properly, to repay the kindness you showed a frightened girl who had nothing." "You don't owe me anything," Marie said. "I owe you everything," Victoria corrected. She glanced at Karen, who stood pale and silent beside the police officers. "And nobody threatens my family." Karen found her voice. "I didn't know." "You didn't know because you didn't care to know," Victoria said. "You saw a black family enjoying their Saturday and decided they didn't belong. You weaponized the police against innocent people. You made children afraid in their own community." Officer Martinez cleared his throat. "Mrs. Whitmore, I'm going to have to file a report about this incident." Karen's face crumpled. "Please, my husband works for Castellano Properties. This will ruin everything." Victoria's expression didn't change. "Your husband works for me, and he's about to find out exactly what kind of person he married." She turned back to Marie, her voice warming again. "Mrs. Thompson, I'd like to make a donation to your family gathering fund, and I'd very much like to stay for lunch, if you'll have me." Marie smiled through her tears, pulling Victoria into a hug. "You're always welcome at our table." Karen didn't leave quietly. Over the next hour, she sat in her BMW making phone calls, her voice rising with each conversation. Marie tried to ignore her, focusing instead on Victoria, who sat at the picnic table sampling sweet potato pie and laughing with Shayla about her college plans. But Marie noticed the worried glances Jerome kept shooting toward Karen's car. "She's calling everyone she knows," he muttered to his mother. "This isn't over." He was right. By Monday morning, Marie's phone was ringing off the hook. Her daughter Lisa called first, her voice shaking with anger. "Mom, have you seen next door? Facebook. She's posted everywhere." Marie's hands trembled as Lisa read the posts aloud. Karen had crafted a completely different narrative. In her version, she was the victim, a concerned citizen attacked by an aggressive family and their wealthy friend who'd used connections to intimidate her. She claimed Victoria had threatened her. She said the Thompson family had been hostile and dangerous. The posts were spreading like wildfire through the community Facebook groups. "Typical," one comment read. "Rich people think they can do whatever they want." "I always knew that Park was getting unsafe," another said. Marie felt sick. She'd lived in this neighborhood for 45 years, raised her children here, volunteered at the community center. Now strangers were calling her family dangerous. Jerome's boss called him into the office. Someone had sent the viral posts to the company, claiming Jerome was involved in threatening behavior. They placed him on administrative leave pending investigation. "It's just a precaution," his boss said, not meeting his eyes. Lisa's catering business lost 3 clients in one day. They all gave vague excuses, but she knew why. The posts had included photos, Jerome, Lisa, even Marie's face, circled in red with captions like "dangerous" and "avoid." Marie sat in her kitchen that evening staring at her phone. The hateful messages kept coming. private messages from strangers calling her family thugs, criminals, worse things she couldn't bear to read. "We should sue," Jerome said, pacing her living room. "This is defamation, slander." "With what money?" Lisa asked quietly. "We can't afford lawyers like the Castellanos." Marie felt defeat settling into her bones. This was exactly what Karen wanted, to destroy them slowly, publicly, where Victoria's power couldn't reach. Money and connections couldn't delete thousands of social media posts or change the minds of people who wanted to believe the worst. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. "Mrs. Thompson, this is David Whitmore, Karen's husband. I need to speak with you." Marie's heart hammered. I don't think... "Please," he interrupted, his voice urgent. "Just give me 5 minutes. I'm parked outside your house." Jerome shook his head violently, but Marie was tired of being afraid. She walked outside. David Whitmore sat in a Mercedes sedan, his face haggard. He stepped out when he saw her, hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "Mrs. Thompson, I'm so sorry. I had no idea what Karen did until Mrs. Castellano called me into her office this morning." "Your wife is destroying my family's reputation," Marie said, her voice harder than she felt. "I know, and I'm trying to fix it." He pulled out his phone, showing her screenshots. "I've been documenting everything, the original posts before she edited them, her private messages to friends where she admits she lied to police, text messages where she brags about getting your son suspended." Marie's breath caught. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because Victoria Castellano gave me a choice," David said quietly. "Help make this right, or lose everything. My job, my reputation, everything. But honestly, even without her ultimatum, I'd do this. What Karen did was evil." "So you're covering yourself," Jerome said from the doorway, his voice cold. "I'm trying to be better than my wife," David shot back. "I can't undo the damage, but I can give you ammunition. These screenshots prove she fabricated everything. They prove she's been coordinating a harassment campaign." Marie studied him. He looked genuinely remorseful, but she'd been fooled before. "What do you want in return?" "Nothing," David said, "except maybe for Mrs. Castellano not to destroy me completely. But that's between her and me. This," he gestured to his phone, "this is because it's the right thing to do." He forwarded everything to Marie's email. Hundreds of screenshots, damning evidence of Karen's lies. "There's something else," David said, his voice dropping. "Karen's planning something bigger. I heard her on the phone this morning with her lawyer. She's going to claim Victoria threatened her with violence. She's going to file for a restraining order and go to the media with a story about wealthy criminals intimidating innocent women." Lisa gasped. "She can't. She can. And she will," David said. "Her lawyer thinks they can spin this into a discrimination lawsuit. Paint Victoria as a dangerous mob boss and your family as accomplices. They're planning to go public tomorrow." Marie felt the world tilting. A lawsuit against Victoria Castellano, media attention, her family's name dragged through national news. "Why are you telling us this?" she whispered. David met her eyes. "Because 40 years ago, my mother was a patient at St. Mary's Hospital in Chicago. A nurse's aide stayed with her through the worst night of her life after a bad surgery, held her hand, prayed with her. My mother never forgot that kindness." He pulled out an old photograph, a younger Marie in her nurse's aide uniform, smiling beside a woman in a hospital bed. "That was your mother?" Marie breathed. "She talked about you until the day she died," David said. "She called you her angel. So when I married Karen, I didn't know, but now I do, and I won't let her destroy the woman who saved my mother's life." Jerome stepped forward, taking the photo with shaking hands. "Tomorrow, you said?" "They're going public tomorrow." David nodded grimly. "Channel 7, 9 a.m. press conference. Karen's already done her hair and makeup test." Marie looked at her son, then at David. "Does Victoria know?" "Not yet," David said. but she needs to. Tonight. Victoria Castellano sat in her study at midnight, listening to David Whitmore's confession over speakerphone. Marie and her family sat on the leather sofa across from her, watching her face remain perfectly calm as David detailed Karen's plan. When he finished, Victoria was silent for a long moment. "Thank you, David," she said finally. "Your mother would be proud of you tonight." She ended the call and looked at Marie. "I assume you want to handle this quietly? Make it go away." Marie shook her head. "I want everyone to know the truth." Victoria's smile was sharp as a blade. "Then we'll give them a show they'll never forget." The next morning, Channel 7's parking lot was packed with news vans. Karen had promoted her press conference on every social media platform, promising to expose corruption and intimidation by powerful criminals. The story had gained traction overnight. Wealthy, mysterious woman threatens innocent housewife. It was irresistible clickbait. Karen stood in front of the building, her lawyer beside her, makeup perfect and tears ready. Reporters clustered around with cameras and microphones. "I'm here today because I'm afraid," Karen began, her voice trembling. "I witnessed illegal activity in our public park, and when I tried to report it, I was threatened by Victoria Castellano, a woman with known connections to—" "That's an interesting story." Victoria's voice cut through the morning air. The crowd turned. Victoria walked toward them, flanked by her two associates, but she wasn't alone. Behind her came Marie and her entire family. Behind them came more people, dozens of them, then hundreds, former patients from St. Mary's Hospital, now elderly, some in wheelchairs. Community leaders Marie had worked with for decades. Jerome's co-workers, who'd walked off the job in protest when he was suspended. Lisa's loyal clients, children from the park, holding signs that read, "The Thompsons are our neighbors," and "We love Miss Marie." But there was more. Victoria had brought receipts. A video screen had been set up overnight in the parking lot. As the cameras rolled live, Victoria pressed a button on her phone. The screen lit up with footage from the park, but not the edited version Karen had posted. This was the full video, uncut from multiple angles. Security cameras Victoria's team had accessed, phones from family members, even footage from a nearby traffic camera. It showed everything: Karen's approach, her immediate hostility, her racist comments, her false 911 call, the fear on the children's faces. "This is the truth," Victoria said, her voice carrying across the parking lot. "This woman terrorized a family for the crime of existing while black." Karen's face went white. "That's taken out of context." Victoria pressed another button. Karen's own social media posts appeared on screen, the originals, before she'd edited them. Screenshots of her private messages appeared, where she bragged about teaching those people a lesson and coordinated the harassment campaign. Then came David Whitmore's evidence. Text messages where Karen admitted she'd lied to police. Voice memos where she laughed about getting Jerome suspended. Plans to fabricate assault allegations. The reporters turned on Karen like sharks smelling blood. "Mrs. Whitmore, did you file a false police report? Did you orchestrate a harassment campaign? Are these text messages authentic?" Karen's lawyer grabbed her arm, trying to pull her away, but Victoria wasn't finished. "I'd like to introduce you to some people," Victoria said. She gestured, and an elderly black woman in a wheelchair came forward. "My name is Dorothy Hayes," the woman said into a reporter's microphone. 50 years ago, I was dying in St. Mary's Hospital in Chicago. The doctors had given up on me, but a nurse's aide named Marie Thompson sat with me every night. She fought for me. She saved my life." Her voice broke. "That woman taught me that kindness is the most powerful force in this world, and I won't stand by while someone tries to destroy her." One by one, people stepped forward. A former teacher Marie had helped through cancer. A young man whose family Marie had welcomed when they were homeless. the owner of the corner store where Marie shopped, who remembered how she'd organized donations when his shop burned down 20 years ago. The narrative was crumbling in real time, live on television. Karen tried to speak, but her voice was drowned out by the crowd. Her lawyer was already backing toward his car. Victoria stepped close to Karen, her voice low enough that only Karen and the nearest cameras could hear. "You wanted to use your privilege as a weapon," Victoria said. "You wanted to destroy good people because you could. But you made one mistake. You came after someone I love." She stepped back, raising her voice for the cameras. "Karen Whitmore, I'm filing a lawsuit against you for defamation, harassment, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Every penny will go to the Thompson family and to legal defense funds for families targeted by false police reports." Karen's knees buckled. A reporter shoved a microphone in her face. "Mrs. Whitmore, do you have a response?" Karen looked at the cameras, at the crowd, at the evidence displayed on the giant screen. She looked at Marie, standing tall and dignified, surrounded by people who loved her. Karen whispered. Then she turned and ran. The cameras followed her retreat, capturing every stumbling step to her BMW. The footage would go viral within the hour, not the story she'd planned, but the one she deserved. Victoria turned to Marie. "Is this enough justice for you?" Marie looked at her family, at her community, at the truth finally displayed for everyone to see. "It's more than enough. It's everything." Officer Martinez approached, badge in hand. "Mrs. Whitmore, I need you to stop." But Karen was already gone, tires squealing as she fled the parking lot. "We'll find her," Martinez said. "Filing false reports, witness intimidation, conspiracy. She's facing real charges now." Victoria nodded, then turned to the reporters. "I have one more thing to say." The cameras focused on her. "Marie Thompson is a hero. She's been a hero for 50 years, quietly serving her community with no recognition, no reward, just love. Today, I'm announcing the Marie Thompson Community Foundation, dedicated to supporting families targeted by discrimination and hate, starting with a $10 million donation." Marie gasped. "Victoria, no." "Yes," Victoria said firmly. "You gave me my life back. Let me give something back to yours." The Marie Thompson Community Foundation opened its doors on a warm September morning. The building was modest, a renovated community center in the heart of the neighborhood, but it buzzed with purpose. Inside, families filled out applications for legal aid, rental assistance, and educational scholarships. Volunteers answered phones. Social workers conducted intake interviews. Marie stood at the window of her small office, watching it all with tears in her eyes. "You're supposed to be retired," Lisa teased, bringing her mother coffee. "This isn't work," Marie said softly. "This is joy." Jerome had been reinstated at his job with a formal apology and a promotion. Lisa's catering business had tripled after the press conference. People wanted to support her, to be part of the story of good triumphing over hate. Shayla had received a full scholarship to college, funded anonymously by someone Marie suspected wore expensive pantsuits and diamond earrings. Karen Whitmore had disappeared from public life. The charges against her were settled quietly. Community service, mandatory bias training, a permanent record. David had divorced her within a month. He now volunteered at the foundation twice a week, sorting donations and never asking for recognition. "My mother would want me here," he told Marie simply. The foundation had helped 23 families in its first month. Families wrongly evicted. Workers facing discrimination, parents fighting unjust police encounters. Each story broke Marie's heart and rebuilt it stronger. Victoria visited every Friday, always bringing lunch from Marie's favorite deli. Today, she arrived carrying a newspaper. "Have you seen this?" Victoria asked, spreading it on Marie's desk. It was a feature article in the national section. "The Ripple Effect, How One Woman's Kindness Changed Everything." It detailed Marie's years of quiet service. The families she'd helped, the lives she'd touched, the community she'd built through nothing but compassion and dignity. They interviewed Dorothy Hayes, Victoria said, pointing to a quote. She said you taught her that small acts of kindness echo through generations. She's right, you know. Marie shook her head. I just did what anyone should do. Treat people with respect, see their humanity. That's exactly the point, Victoria said. It should be what everyone does, but it's not. You made a choice over and over to be kind when it cost you something, to stand up when it was easier to look away, to treat people with dignity when the world told you they didn't deserve it. She took Marie's hands, those same hands she'd held 40 years ago in a Chicago hospital room. You saved my life when I was nobody, Victoria continued. You fought for Dorothy when doctors had given up. You welcomed strangers when they had nowhere to go. You raised children who stand up for what's right, and when Karen tried to destroy you, you didn't become bitter. You didn't seek revenge. You just kept being you. Marie's eyes filled with tears. Sometimes I wonder if it's enough, if anything really changes. Look around, Victoria said, gesturing to the bustling foundation. A woman tried to weaponize hate against you, and you responded by building something that fights hate for everyone. That's not just change, that's revolution. Through the window, they watched a young mother leave the foundation office, crying with relief, clutching paperwork that would keep her family housed. A volunteer, one of the teenagers from the park that day, held the door for her, smiling. Karen thought power was about money and connections and skin color, Victoria said. She thought she could crush you because she had privilege and you didn't. But real power, the kind that lasts, the kind that matters, that's what you have. The power to see people, to lift them up, to change the world one kindness at a time. Marie squeezed Victoria's hands. I learned that from my mother. She used to say, baby, you can't control how people treat you, but you can control who you become in response. Wise woman, Victoria said. She was a maid in white people's houses her whole life, Marie said quietly. Endured things I can't imagine, but she never let it make her cruel. She never let it steal her dignity. She taught me that our humanity isn't given to us by how others treat us. It comes from how we treat others. Victoria stood, pulling Marie into a hug. Your mother raised a warrior, a gentle warrior, but a warrior nonetheless. After Victoria left, Marie sat at her desk, looking at the photos on her wall. Her husband Marcus, gone but not forgotten. Her children and grandchildren, thriving. Dorothy Hayes, and dozens of others whose lives had intersected with hers. And there, in the center, a photo from the park. Her whole family, smiling, with Victoria standing among them like she'd always belonged. The phone rang. Another family needing help. Another chance to make a difference. Marie picked it up, her voice warm. Marie Thompson Community Foundation, how can we help you today? Because that was the secret Karen had never understood. Power isn't about tearing others down. It's about lifting them up. Justice isn't about revenge. It's about making sure the next person doesn't suffer the same injustice. And dignity, real dignity, can't be taken away by anyone. It can only be given away by choice. Marie had made her choice long ago, and she'd choose it again every single time. The foundation's door opened, more families coming in, more stories to hear, more chances to prove that kindness isn't weakness. It's the strongest force in the world. What would you have done in Marie's position? Would you have fought back with the same grace, or would anger have won? Share your thoughts below.